Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. This week, as always, I'm joined by Nick Pateman and Dan Holt, who's looking very insurance salesy today, or door to door.
Well, I mean, you know, times have been pretty tough, you know, with the recession, so I'm just branching out. I'm selling a few cleaning products on one hand and a bit of insurance on the other, because, you know.
Magic white. Yeah. Well, this week we are talking about the exact match domain update and potential fixes. Now, the exact match domain update happened in the second half of 2012, so it's a bit delayed that we're talking about it. But the reason why we wanted to talk about it this week is because we've experimented with a few different fixes for it, and we wanted to bring it back up and go through, kind of debate what was the best way to fix your site or domain if you've been hit by the exact match domain update. So that's my first question, guys. Like, what is the solution if your site gets hit or punished by the exact match domain update? Nick?
Well, I've had a lot of exact match domains in the past. I kind of bought tons and tons, and at one point I had sort of 150 domains. Most of them were exact match. Really bad times for me as an SEO. But you know, I've seen a lot now. I've seen things that work and things that don't. Things that don't work, I think, are generally kind of letting it sit and hoping it will come back. Really have to be proactive with this. I think stripping out all the crap from your site, going through the index, do a site code on search and look through. If you've got a smallish site, you know, 100, 200 pages, then just go through every page, make sure it's up to scratch, make sure there's no duplicate pages or pages that are just really heavily focusing on keyword or really similar to other pages, thin content, all that stuff. So fix it with redirects and everything else. But the best thing you can do is be proactive. So get onto social platforms, get onto developing content on your blog, build a resource on the site, really be proactive, because if you let it sit, it just won't come back.
Dan, what do you think?
I don't disagree with any of that. I think you're kind of stating the obvious. I think that could have been answered the same question for Panda. I think there's something quite specific that you can do in addition to that.
I'll go to counter that very shortly. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Generic place.
So there's one other very specific thing you can do. It's very rare in the SEO world to have a quick fix nowadays. The sort of the days of the quick fix are over pretty much, unfortunately. But there is an exception, and it's the EMD update. We found, obviously, as you know, with our wedding directory, weddingdays.co.uk, that had been up for about 6 months. It was absolutely torn to pieces by the EMD update, sort of late September, early October, was it? And for about 6 weeks, it was doing nothing. It was all very depressing. Then in December, we moved it across to Marriage Days. Horrible, horrible domain, but there was a very specific reason why we did it, of course. It didn't contain the word wedding. When Google made that update, they were targeting domains that included a particular keyword that they obviously felt was being used for manipulative purposes. So maybe they also, I'm assuming you had to go above a certain threshold, in the sense that it was then also contained within the content a certain number of times. Maybe there was a certain prevalence of it within anchor text, that sort of thing. Yeah. So that was the move we made. We moved it across to this different domain, and it came back almost instantly. And now a few months on, it's performing better than ever.
And what he fails to not mention is that those few months on, we were incredibly proactive about developing the content, stripping out the crap, and now it's stayed. And the traffic's better than it ever was. And
you know, guys, I'm going to jump in and say we 301's surnames.org.uk, and I didn't change it. I changed it to familydb.co.uk. I didn't even when you go on familydb.co.uk now, it says welcome to surnames.org.uk. That's the amount that I changed the site, right? And it came back stronger and better than ever. So, and we weren't proactive about it.
I demand that data is published. I think
I will show you.
That'd be brilliant, because I've done it on several sites, and it comes back short term, but then it just goes. And if you're going to be lazy, like, don't just 301 your site and just expect like Google to love you and supposedly what's happened here and just get your traffic back better than ever. Don't do that. That's not what SEO is about.
It worked for me.
Don't listen to this.
Okay, guys, and quickly, just the second question is: if we're deciding that you might want to 301 your domain, but you actually want to go back to your original site in the long run, if you've been hit by EMD, when should you go back to your original site? When should you 301 back, Dan?
Well, I think this ties in with all the, to be fair, very valid comments that Nick made earlier. You've got to fix like the root cause of the problem. So in our situation with Wedding Days that then became Marriage Days, until we've reduced the maybe the density of the word wedding within the content, until we've really broadened the range of anchor text appearing in the links pointing back to the site. Until we've fixed those things, I think it would be foolish to think that we could redirect it back to wedding days and not expect to end up back where we were in November.
And I think you should do that, but then you should also take into account there is a risk with redirecting back. So if you wait too long and your traffic's suddenly back to a huge number a day, like maybe 5 times as much as it was before, then you start risking quite a bit by waiting. So I would, the moment the traffic starts picking up again, I would redirect it back and just test it out. Google's quite forgiving as well, so you may just be able to lift that redirect again and move back to your old site, and you'll probably find that your traffic comes back.
I mean, I'm going to say that I think the perfect solution is when you 301, you 301 it to a stronger brand. I know for offline businesses it's not always an option because you've got your offline brand that you need to keep. But if I've got a purely online site, my preference would be to 301 it to a stronger brand domain.
Plus, we'd invested a lot of money in wedding days.
Yeah,
you can. I think that's
absolutely
that's the problem with premium domain.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, guys. As always, please hashtag inbound debate on Twitter. Get in touch with us if you disagree with anything we've said, and I'm sure you do. Please comment on the video below and let us know your thoughts, what you might want us to talk about next week. And thank you very much, guys, for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye.